one final set of images that I would leave with you about knowing as a communal act. At the heart of great science, we are constantly reminded that knowing is about being in community with the world itself. Let me tell you my favorite recent story from the heart of great science. About a year and a half ago, there was on the front page of the New York Times the obituary of a great human being named Barbara McClintock. She died at age 92 or 93, and her obituary was in that space on the front page reserved for heads of state. Barbara McClintock was a biologist, a geneticist, who from a very young age, in her early 20s, got fascinated with the question of how genetic transmission took place, how genetic characteristics would move from one place to another in the DNA and in the genome to create replications of amazing sorts in the world of organic reality. And she pursued this interest of hers, this passion of hers, with such vigor and such clarity and such unconventional means, unconventional methodologies and unconventional hypotheses, that she was largely marginalized and scorned by her fellow scientists for a long period of time until she won a Nobel Prize. And then her dance tickets started getting filled. A wonderful woman named Evelyn Fox Keller, another scientist, went to Barbara McClintock and said, "I would like to write your intellectual biography. Tell me, how do you do this great science?" And Barbara McClintock, who is deeply schooled in the rules of logic and the rules of evidence and the rules of observation and all of the objective tools that a good scientist must have, Barbara McClintock thought for a moment and said, "All I can really tell you about doing great science is that you somehow have to have a feeling for the organism." And Keller, the biographer, presses her again, "How do you do great science? I need to hear more." And Barbara McClintock, who at that time was in her early 80s, age when all that's left is to tell the truth, thinking about these ears of corn that she had worked with all her life because they were cheap and plentiful and she couldn't get grants, Barbara McClintock says, to do science of this sort, you have to somehow learn how to lean into the kernel. Barbara McClintock, who knows logic, who knows evidence, who knows observation, when pressed to describe her great scientific knowing, comes up with images that are about community, that are relational, that are about connectedness, about her capacity for connectedness with ears of corn. And her biographer, Keller, writes a sentence following these comments that I believe is one of the most luminous sentences I've ever read. She says, "Barbara McClintock, in her relation to ears of corn, achieved the highest form of love, which is intimacy that does not annihilate difference." The highest form of love, intimacy that does not annihilate difference. And when I read that sentence, I thought to myself, my goodness, Barbara McClintock had a relation with ears of corn that I yearn to have with other human beings.